YouTube. YouTube's having the struggle bus today. Okay. I see everyone with in YouTube. I see Ingrid and Theodore. I'm not sure. I'm watching where it actually picked up. I'm wondering if you guys didn't even get the last part because it wasn't live. Oh, it wasn't. Okay, so you guys missed the whole first sections here. Interesting. This whole going live on 2 platforms is a new thing. This is only the second day of doing this for me. So Facebook got to hear a little bit more than what YouTube did. This is really cool. My dog is unfortunately going nuts. I apologize that she is whining and things like that. We have some visitors to help because we had furniture delivered today. So it's one of those days. I can't win for losing today. Hello, everyone. I see people are saying hi in the Facebook group, hi in the YouTube channel. Good to see you all. Okay, so to recap what I did before YouTube got the message. Dasha, chill. Before YouTube got the message was that we worked with WordBanger since our live in that hour. I got a chance to meet with Joseph Yu, who is a member of the Feature Fiction Academy, who is actually developing Rexy. I do not code. I've tried. I've taken classes. It's just not how my brain works. But I love everybody who does code, and I really do love that he has been working with us on this particular tool to build out Rexy. So we are going to go back to Rexy, and we can look at WordBanger again. I want to open it up real fast, though, for questions. So anybody who caught the first one or maybe caught the replay, do you have any questions that you wanted answered on this stream? I got one message from a different platform that asked about the temperature settings. I was going to go over that in a little bit. We also had a lab on Saturday with Leland about these hyperparameters, these parameters that you set for the LLMs about your temperature and your top P or your top K in the case for Claude. So there is that. So let me see if there's any questions that people have. Hello, Mania. It's good to see you. Hello, we're Cynical Y Wolf. I just love that name. That's just so fun. Didn't get the YouTube notification. Bad YouTube. Hey, Theodore. Hi, Harper. And hello, Deborah and Ingrid. Good to see you all. Okay. There's not any questions. I'm going to do something I don't usually do live too much, but we're just going to write. I'm just going to be authentic EAW, working with AI. We're going to go fast. I'm going to show how, if you do practice with this stuff, you can absolutely get as quick as I do and things like that of just running with it. Because I think fluent in robot. So we're going to pick up where we left off with this cozy serial killer idea. And we're going to turn this into a serial. So the way I'm going to do that is in session 1, I actually ran this, and we have this GPT 3.5 Turbo K. So we have the information here. I'm just going to validate it here. I'm going to go settings fine. I don't have any problems with this. I like that it's small town. Main characters: Georgia Morgan, protagonist, librarian, Detective Ethan Hayes, supporting characters, other librarians, library patrons. So we're going to need all that information. Tension and conflict, internal conflicts here. I like it. I like plot structure a little bit here. Themes and subplots, and then the examples. So here's what I'm going to do. What's really cool about Rexy is I like that this is like a big start of it. So I'm actually going to just save this to S1. You'll see I have something in S1 already, so I'm actually going to delete that out. The way you do that is you go to your completion tab. And we can see right here that before at the end of the last session, I ran 600 words. It basically wrote back 600 words here on model 3.5 Turbo 16K. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save that to my S slot right here, this is our save slots. So I'm going to save it to S1. When I do that, it is completely saved to S1. And then I'm going to come back to my prompter up at the top here. And you'll see that right here in my S1, I have this prompt. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and change this prompt on the fly. There is actually a library of prompts that we're building, but just to show how I would normally work, because I write the prompts, guys. So I just like to write prompts. So system prompt is good. You're a writing assistant who's an expert in every element of story writing, craft, plotting, and any other task an author asks you to help you with. It's just a generic kind of establishing a persona. This is a very well documented, well tested methodology of working with LLMs. You basically define the expert that you want the LLM to perform as. People have been using this to turn it into a business coach, a writing coach, all kinds of things there. Oh my goodness, Dasha's going to kill me. I'm going to let my dog out. I apologize for this. Okay. I hope everyone's laughing with me. So let me get this straight. First, I couldn't share my screen. Then I shared my screen. I inadvertently muted myself. Um, yeah. Is it's not Friday the 13th, right? Like, I think I'm just punking myself. Like, now we have image but no sound. I know. My goodness. This is a day. Has anyone else had days like these? I'm not the only one. All right. So, woo, back. All right. So now that everyone can see my screen and hear me, cozy serial killers. That's where we left off. We left off with cozy serial killers. I like this idea of a librarian who kills over overdue fines. I don't necessarily think this is an original idea. I'm sure somebody else has already written this book or something like that, but that's what we're going to write today. However, the story world that it came up with, the prompt for it was just for a series of books. See that? So a series of books. I'm actually going to turn this into a serial because that's faster for what our purposes are today. So I'm happy with setting main characters, tension, conflict, plot structure, and themes. And then I have these examples of the books. Now we're not going to write full books because we're going to do a serial. So here's what's going to happen. I am actually going to change the prompt on the fly because I write prompts. That's what I like to do. There is a whole library of prompts too that we are building. We actually have a taxonomy that I think I can share, like just to show you well, do that later. I showed you a little bit in the library here. We have a whole taxonomy that we're filling out. So, but for this particular exercise here, I'm just going to be authentic EAW, authentically myself. Feels weird to talk about myself in the third person. I'm just going to be me as an author who has been working with AI for 2 years now, just about, like, at least 18 months. So I'm going to go. Okay. I'll answer questions. I will try to describe what I'm doing as I'm doing. But since we have a truncated amount of time today, I'm going to just try to show you as much as I can and how you can work with Rexy in kind of a very elegant way once you get the hang of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my Notion and I'm going to kind of clean this up a little bit because you guys will have access to this page. I'm going to create a new page really fast. And I'm just going to call this session 1. Completions, because we're moving on from this. We're going completely different. So once I have that page, I'm just going to grab all of this stuff right here, all the sexy times with Lily and Marco, and I'm just going to throw it into there. So now that my auto write is kind of nice and clean, and I just have that thrown over there. The other thing that I'm going to do is over in Rexy, I'm going to change the name of what it's actually completing as. So I'm going to go to my config page. I'm going to go to my advanced settings. And here I have the title is TTOM, which stands for Texas Twisted Magic, which is what I was originally going to work on. And instead, we're going to work on Killer Librarian. So that's what I'm going to call this project. So that all of the documents that it actually creates for me is named Killer Librarian. And then I will click Save. And so now everything will write as Killer Librarian and then the timestamp. Come back to my prompter. our completion right here. So this is what we had originally, our completion. I could make changes right now, okay? But I'm not going to. I'm going to actually use the AI to do that. So what I did is I clicked the button here to save it as an S1 slot. We have the ability to save our completions into these different slots. We have 10 right now. We can have more. This tool has kind of unlimited capabilities. And then I'm going to come back to my prompter. So changing it in real time. So the system prompt here, you are a writing assistant who is an expert in every element of story writing, craft, plotting, and any other task an author asks you to help with. This is a very generic kind of persona. This is a very well-documented way of prompting. How many of you guys have seen prompting out there on YouTube and other places of like, you ask the AI to be this expert? If you're using GPT Plus, you can use this in custom instructions. We have some different YouTube videos and stuff on that. But that's what we're looking at here. So I have these magic elements. And so the magic elements now, my S1 has that completion because I saved it to my S1 slot. And I can call that S1 slot, the information in here, into my prompt at any time by just using the curly braces. If you guys are starting to go, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, this means like I can custom make all my prompts. Yes, the answer is yes. There's even more functionality that's even cooler than that. So I'm fine with the system prompt. So given the genre and ideas I have so far, make me a detailed report. Nope, we're not going to do any of that. Bloop. We're going to write a prompt on the fly because you can do that. So I'm going to say read S1. Make it more specific, including rich details, and set it up for serialized fiction of 5 episodes, with each episode ending on a cliffhanger and a story arc that goes across all 5 episodes. An episode is no more than 7 scenes. Each scene will be about 1,500 to 2,000 words. For those of you who are going like, why? That is because I'm explaining it for what the length is. A full episode should be about the length of a novelette. Okay, novelette is smaller than a novella. And I'm explaining these in terminologies that the AI can understand. It's going to read S1, make it more specific, including reach more details. And actually, we'll say rewrite it. Actually, no, I think we'll just say make it more specific. That's fine. So if I'm ever curious about what my prompt's going to look like, I can always construct my prompt and make sure that it's going to look like this. So it's going to be read, and it reads all of this. And then at the bottom, it'll say, make it more specific. So I can see right here, there's some funkiness in my prompting here. I've got some extra periods. So let me do this. So I'm going to take that period out. I'm going to go, because there's a period at the end of the S1. So what I'm going to do, so it doesn't have any context of what this S1 is. It just says read, and then it just put that in. So what we do as a methodology is we create like these bracket wrappers. So we use square brackets because curly braces, or squiggly brackets as I call them, or squiggly brackets, that calls a specific box inside of Rexy. So S2 with the squiggle brackets or the curly brackets, it calls that box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a square bracket, and actually we'll put some lines here just so that it's easier to see for you guys to see at home. I'm going to call this story brief. And then I'm going to close it by doing a / story brief. This is just a variable I'm making up, declaring this container so that the LLM has context of what the heck S1 is. Without this brackets, these briefs, it just says read this stuff with no context. Watch what happens when I construct my prompt now. Now when I construct my prompt, it says read story brief. And so now the LLM is able to understand that between this bracket and this other bracket is the story brief. And you'll notice I don't have nice spacing here. It really doesn't matter to the LLM, but I'm a human. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another carriage return there, and I can construct my prompt again. And now I can see even better here what this looks like. So now it's a lot cleaner and nicer for us humans to read. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a Notion page. I will go with Story World Brief Rewrite and construct that prompt. So that now it'll be on a Notion page, so that way you guys have that prompt right there on your prompt construction page with access to this main page. Let me give you guys the link to this again so that you have it. Copy the web link, and I'll put it in the chat and check the chat real fast. It's a good place to pause for right now. So on Facebook, I'll put the link there, and then in YouTube, I'll put it there. Okay. You said we were seeing the real way this works and everything going wrong as part of the process. Yeah, that's true. My dog heard your dog barking. I'm so sorry. 11 minutes in live, and now I get the YouTube notification. Yeah, YouTube's dropping the ball. Okay, so no questions so far. We can keep moving on with what we're doing. All right. So now that I have that, now I have to pick the model that I want to run this in. I could use 3.5 turbo. I'm actually going to use 4. I'm going to go ahead and use GPT-4. It's got a little bit better reasoning there. Now let's talk about these hyperparameters. Excuse me. If I wanted to write like Claude, put the temperature at 1.8, put your top P at 0.6. Do not just put your temperature at 1.8. You have to also change your top P parameters. But if I put my temperature at 1.8, that's actually not going to work for me right now because I want it to follow my instructions. So usually what you want to do for your temperature is you want to bring it down below 1 if you're looking for something very analytical. So I'm actually going to put my temperature at 0.7. However, I do actually want it to write a little bit more rich. I don't want it to do, if I do top P of 1.0, it means that it can consider 100% of the possible tokens. If I bring it down to say, let's go with a 0.4 actually to run this one. That means it's only going to consider tokens that add up to the top 40% of the options there. And what that means is it's not going to consider some like really wackadoo tokens at the bottom. We're going to get some very expected stuff. Let's see how this works. So temperature's at 0.7 and the top P is at 0.4. How many of you have been very afraid to ever make changes to those hyperparameters? Anyone? And so now you'll notice here, it even labeled what it's doing as the story brief revision. So we'll let this run. And I told you Dasha would be back in 5 minutes. Come on, Dasha. Are you done barking now? Okay. Now look at the difference here. The original, because we have it right here, this is all we got with 3.5. Edgewater has a quaint, old-fashioned public library located in the heart of town named Whispering Pages Public Library. The library is a hub for many residents and visitors. I'm looking at this description here. Let's look at the rewrite. Over here, the heart of the town is the Whispering Pages Public Library, a quaint, old-fashioned building with ivory-covered walls and a clock tower. The library, with its vast collection of books and cozy reading nooks, is a beloved hub for the residents and visitors. Now, you can't tell me that that's not like some Claude writing there where they're doing that. And it's not really Claude versus OpenAI. Most of us don't change our OpenAI settings too much. I've been guilty of this myself. But if you actually play with those hyperparameters and check out the lab that Leland did, if you're an FFA member, it's the Saturday lab that he just did this past Saturday. That it makes a world of difference in the tokens that it has available and what it's selecting. So let me check the text, the chat here real fast. Okay. Hello. All right. So people on Facebook are good. People on YouTube are good. Oh, I remember, Baby Snark, when you got the sentient potato. I actually tell people that story. Like one of our students went way high on temperature, but you didn't change like your top P, right? If I remember correctly, like you didn't change your other parameters. You just put temperature way high and you got a weird pitch with a sentient potato. Yeah. So the important thing is that when you change your temperature, you want to think critically. So the higher the temperature, the more abstract the LLM is permitted to be with your response. Leland and I just actually did a really cool interview this week that will be on the Future Fiction Factory YouTube channel. Our good friend Ikello We love him. He has some great material out there. If you haven't checked out his channel, you definitely should. So we did a whole thing where we walked through live what these different parameters do and everything like that. So keep your eyes peeled. That interview, that session should come out in the next 2 weeks or so. So it'll definitely have that. OpenAI Playground can go from very mechanical to, I can't say that word. Is it dataist, DAIST poetry if you change the settings. Absolutely. Changing those settings really, really matters. Really makes a big difference. All right. I think Rexy is done, and we'll see what he is here. So what I am most interested in is I'm going to look at my completion, and I'm going to see what we have. So I just came to my completion tab. Beloved hub. So we're good with setting. I think that this did a really good thing, and it now has an annual Edgewater Literary Festival. So it took it the next level. I also love this vibrant fall foliage, because one of the ideas I had was that everybody knows that these like summer beach cottages serials have been doing really, really well. And my thought process was like, well, what's the next season? The next season's autumn. What are we doing for autumn? I'm thinking, fall foliage and, that kind of stuff. And yes, the dog. I don't know how I'm muting myself, and I don't know how long that was muted for, and I apologize. I don't know what it's doing, why it keeps muting me. I think it's happening when I am checking the chat. So let me just move the tabs and see if that works better. Oh my goodness. I'm going to look and see how long the muting was. When you leave the camera, the microphone automatically gets muted and it detects that you left. That's why. Okay. So let me get this straight. This live on Writing with AI was spoiled with other AI that decided my mic should be muted because I stepped away. Is that correct? Basically. This is the worst session ever. We should just start over. Okay. Let me go back to what we were talking about, and I'll just try to repeat myself. Oh my goodness. So, that was a lot. Did you guys remember me talking about the vibrant fall foliage, or was I muted for all that too? I think I'm just going to have both windows up so you guys can tell me if I am muted when I'm muted, so I can see in the chat right away, as live as possible. Yes. Okay, so this has kind of turned into a game at this point. You guys are watching me do things and wondering, why is she doing that? Okay. So I'm happy with this. Where are you? A long time. Yeah. Um, I was searching Google to see if Georgia Morgan is already a character. It turns out she is. Okay, the foliage was the last thing we heard. Cool. You missed the Google stuff. So what I like to do when the AI creates a character for me that I did not come with the character names, I like to check that the character name is not already a well-known character or something like that. Meaning that Georgia Morgan, I don't necessarily read all the mysteries out there. I don't even read all the Jane Austen fan fiction books out there. Like nobody has time to read everything. So a Google search is your friend. Does not mean that I'm violating anything or that AI will always copy names or anything like that. My Georgia Morgan is a very different Georgia Morgan than the real Georgia Morgan. If I was searching mystery novel characters Georgia Morgan, and all that came up was Vulnerable by Mary Burton, which I'm sure she's a fantastic author. And if you look at this, the Morgans, she's working at the police station as a forensic technician. So this is not a librarian serial killer. This is not the same character at all. However, as a professional courtesy, okay, this is a me thing. I just changed the author name, or I just changed the character name, and you can even tell here that I'm not stealing from this book or anything, or the AI didn't necessarily steal from this thing here from 2017, anything like that. Look, it's homicide detective Jake Bishop. We don't have Jake Bishop. We have Ethan Hayes. And Georgia Morgan is a very kind of common name if you're looking for like a character that's like Southern United States, small town, thinking of that way. So does everybody understand how it's not the same character, but in this particular case, since I did find another book with Georgia Morgan in there, I would just go ahead and change her name. Probably, you know what? I don't live in Georgia. I live in Virginia. So what we can do is we can just this particular one here. I could just take it to AI and change it all, but I think I'll just change it in a couple of different things, a couple of the different areas here, because then we have to wait for the AI to fix it all. Virginia. Oh, there's going to be a lot. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We will save, what we'll do is we'll take this into the content editor. The content editor has it right here. This is hard coded for 16K is the downside here. The prompter, let's see here. How many words was this? Oh, 712. Okay. Let me, actually, I think I can just come back here and we're going more specific. So I'm going to say change nothing else, but rewrite to change all mentions of Georgia Morgan to Virginia Morgan. Now, I have to pause for a second. This is going to call my S1, which was the original one. I wanted to call my last completion. So I'm going to grab this last completion and put it in here in story brief. So that's what it's doing. I don't have to copy and paste. And I'm going to go ahead and process GPT-4. So that way it's doing that. So it's going to pull in the last completion. So you'll see here, Edgewater. It's got the same information here. Picturesque. It brought back that literary festival, the Edgewater Lister, and it has the vibrant fall foliage. So it's not changing any of the words except for mentions of Georgia Morgan to Virginia Morgan. So did everybody see how I just changed that prompt really fast? And what I love about Rexy is that you can grab a last completion and bring it into prompter and say, hey, make these changes. I want to keep most of it, but I want this changed or that changed. Let me go to my chat and make sure. Okay. And what do you all think about that? Like if an AI comes out with a author name or not an author name, a character name, are you guys looking to see if that character is already like a well-known character in another series or anything like that? Any ideas there? Okay. I'm going to actually click skip the ads. So no ads today for that. All right. So this is writing and we're almost done with it here. Yeah, typically always change the names. Usually change the names, but I do research first. I just automatically change it. Yeah. And I think that this is important. These are the things that we need to talk about in our writing caves and stuff. Like, what is the reality of writing with AI? Yeah, AI is a fantastic accessibility tool and we all love it. However, there are some shortcomings of it, and you are 100% responsible for the content that comes out. So it's up to you to look at that and make sure that it's not something that is going to be a problem. And Harper's saying that she changes the names because she doesn't like them anyway. I hear you. Okay, so we have this information here. It finished it. I can come to the completion now just to make sure it finished it. I think it did. So 714, we're still in the same word count. So we just made those changes. Okay, back to validation. Ethan Hayes, I'm okay. I it's close. It's fine. Ethan Hayes is fine. I changed Virginia Morgan. I kind of like the name of Ethan Hayes. His intuition leads Virginia to a tense cat and mouse dynamic. Perfect. So Virginia is going to start killing people, hopefully. So tension and conflict. Her struggle with the moral implications. Her effort to keep her secret hidden, evade Detective Hayes' suspicion, and maintain her librarian duties. Okay. Solve the increasing number of deaths while suspecting Virginia, whom he can't seem to gather enough evidence against. She's a librarian. All right. So the series follows a 3-act structure. So that's what it's doing. Hopefully it's going to break that across episodes. Let's see here. Virginia discovers a prominent local artist has been hoarding library books for months. Oh, no. As she investigates, she uncovers a dark secret from the artist's past. The episode ends with the artist's mysterious death. Now, remember, I said I wanted a cliffhanger. So let's see. Virginia turns her attention to a troubled teenager who frequently borrows books but never returns them. As she delves into the girl's life, she tries to help her overcome her problems while wrestling with her own moral conflicts. The episode ends with the teenager's unexpected disappearance. I don't know about that. I don't like that. I mean, I'm happy with the disappearance thing, but I don't think it's a troubled teenager. Let's go with a let's make this a cafe owner. How about that? A busy. Let's go with this. A busy. A busy local cafe owner who frequently borrows books but never returns them. As she delves into the woman's life, she unexpectedly tries to help her overcome her problems. Her problems. Of being too busy. Very busy. The episode ends with the cafe owner's unexpected disappearance. Silent pages. Detective Hayes begins to connect the dots. The episode ends with the author found dead in a shocking location. Oh my gosh. The relationship with the bookstore owner deepens. What bookstore owner? Where is the bookstore owner? Hold on. Okay. The examination. A charming bookstore owner. Okay. So that's fine. So we're going to have to work the subplots in a little bit here. Episode 4. Finding a clue left by Hayes, hinting at his suspicion. Hayes closes in on Virginia as she finds herself at a crossroads, torn between her desire for justice and her own self-preservation. The final showdown between Virginia and Hayes reveals surprising revelations, leaving the audience on a cliffhanger for next season. Okay, so if it's this vague, I can ask the AI to come up with stuff, but I like to actually come up with stuff. The cliffhanger is going to be Virginia receiving a new assignment to the Central Library, to the state's Central Library. Since we're in Vermont, it would be Montpelier. When Hayes shows up, question her. Virginia is gone, and the bookstore owner is gone with her, having closed shop. Okay, I don't know that that's very very rational. I would actually need to sit and think about this a little bit more. Maybe have the AI work on it to help get ideas and select from them. But we have a story brief now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the edits to the last completion. I'm also going to go ahead and save this to Notion. So what I'm going to call this is the story brief. And I'm going to record the completion. And I just want the completion. I don't need the prompt construction, and I'm just going to save it to Notion. And the reason I'm going to save it to Notion is because there's another functionality of Rexy that I think is super, super helpful. And that is our Notion 10. We plan to have more Notions, but we're starting off with Notion 10. So, and you're probably going like, Elizabeth, what the heck is a Notion 10? You'll see. I'm going to take this story brief because it just saved it, and I'm going to throw it into my Notion 10. So I have that here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to Rexy. Oh, I'm sorry. First, I need to go to my Notion 10 page. I'm going to copy the URL, come over to Rexy, and I'm going to go to my Notion slot editor. When I type in my Notion page and verify, it'll now pull in that Notion page as an N1. So you guys saw how you have save slots with S1s. You can also have N slots. So this is a Notion page with all this information on here. So I don't have to copy and paste. I don't have to store this anywhere. So coming to the prompter, or I'm sorry, to the library, I need a list of characters. So I'm going to go to the characters. I need generating characters. That's what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go to, I need a character list. So we'll do a character list, and I'll load that prompt. And then I'll go to the prompter and I'll check my chats so I can make sure that I'm not leaving any of you guys behind. Okay. The dog. I know. I got up for the dog. It muted me. Let me unmute myself. It didn't mute me this time. Okay, I guess it was quick enough. You guys can still hear me, right? We did this okay? Everyone here? Okay, good. I was quick. Okay. So again, this prompt is the default prompt. It's designed for people to be able to bring their ideas. We built these prompts like you would be brainstorming and everything. You're a writing assistant to a New York Times bestselling author. Yes. So based on the genre and ideas, generate number of characters, include that. Okay, so I'm going to keep that information, but I'm going to say based on the story brief, I'm giving context. If I can type right today. Oh my goodness. Story brief. Okay, we'll just, I need room. I need room to think. And then I do the squiggly brackets. Guess what? Instead of an N1, it's an S1. And if I'm ever confused which Notion slot it's in, I just go to my magic elements, go to Notion slots, and I can see right here, there's story brief revision. And you know what? Since that's what they called it, and then they closed it down here, I'm actually going to call it that same thing based on the story brief revision. Oh, wait, actually, if those things are in there, it'll automatically put that in there. So I'll just delete that out. And let's see. Let's go ahead and fix this. I want it consistent. Consistency works well with LLMs. Now, I made that change. Did that automatically write to my Notion page? No, it did not. So it doesn't write that direction with your Notion slots. So what I have to do is I have to go to my Notion page. Since I'm making that change of the story brief revision, come down here and fix it here so that as I work with this piece, it always matches it when I call it in. If I want to see if the things took, I can delete that out. I can come to my Notion slot editor, verify and refresh the page again. And now my story brief at the bottom here, see how it has the changes I made. If I come to my prompter and I come back into my Notion slots, it does not have, oh, that was the save lot. If I come to my Notion slots, you'll see it's right back because I deleted it. So based on the story brief revision, so based on it's going to say story brief revision N1, write me a full list of characters for all episodes in order to write this serial. The physical description, internal goals, all of that, any characteristics. Also include if the character is a main character or a side character. Okay, so we can do that. And again, I can always construct this prompt. So this is creating a list of characters. I can construct the prompt only just so that you guys have it. And it has all this information in here. And then it has that, and it's on that Notion page. So it'll be on the prompt construction page. I'm going to go ahead and process GPT-4. Actually, I need to change my temperatures again. So 0.7 and top P of 0.4 worked really well. So I'm going to stick with that for right now. and we'll go ahead and process. Now I'll go to my chats and see how we're all doing. Yep. Although I will warn you, Ellie or Eli, I'm not sure how to. Oh, sorry about that. It is. We had some technical difficulties. This thing. It turned out every time I went out of the camera, it would mute me. So there's like entire sections where it's muted, unfortunately. But we got it together now, at the end here. Okay, so we have Virginia Morgan, and we have Detective Ethan Hayes. We have the local artist. It's a side character, episode 1. So this is kind of cool. It's bringing this information in. I really like this as a aid because it doesn't have names, which I'm going to tell it to revise and add names. But we have these renowned authors, so it's literally picking up the names that we need for each of the episodes and which episodes they're in. It's a really great writing assistant for when you're making these plans and stuff like that. Old ways that I would do this is I would sit down with paper and pen and sticky notes and stuff and plan all of this out. Now my job is to make sure that it's doing the right things and that I like what it's coming out for. The author, Hidden Arrogance, visiting Edgewater for the literary festival, past heartbreak, so the bookstore owner. And this is good. So what I'm going to do is I have the last completion. So this prompt, I've already saved it in the prompt construction, so we're good. I'm going to say read last completion. Rewrite to give everyone specific names. And if there is any language like secret, and actually this is any vague language that I want, any vague language like secret, or what are some other things that are too broad? A past. Please come up with a specific secret or past problem. Okay, so we'll process that again. So it's going to read the last completion, which is this section right here. And so it doesn't have the context of the whole story brief. It's literally just looking at that list and just rewriting it to be more specific. So we'll see what happens here. And if I'm ever worried about that list that I had, it's still here. It's going to be right here on my auto write page. This is the wonderful thing about this. So Killer Librarian, I have these characters. So I didn't lose any of my work. If this prompt doesn't work, I can always go back to the previous work that I had and everything like that. And I'll check the chat real fast. Oh, cool. Okay, let's see how Facebook is going. Fantastic. All righty. I don't think Facebook is the right place to stream, but that's okay. Okay, so available on YouTube right after it ends. Perfect. Has anyone been doing this with Rexy? Those of our students who are in the house. Have you been using the prompts and the last completions and the save slots and the end slots to write these prompts and things on the fly to get it going? It's kind of like, in a way, your own customizable story engine. Not to be like story engine, but just like an engine that'll write a story. And it's still writing. Let's see if it did better on. So we have Sarah Thompson, Max Whitman. I like that. His involvement in the scandal, so he was an art forgery scandal. Now that's cool. I don't think our original said that. Let's see what it said about the artist. So right here, you'll see it said revealed to have a dark secret. Because I asked for specificity, now I have an art forgery scandal. Same thing for this. She's running Sarah's Brew for businesswoman to Virginia's next target. Frequently borrows books but never returns them. She's frazzled, always on the go demeanor. Richard Blackwood, renowned author, to promote his book, The Silent Echo. Now that's more specifics. If we come down here to the author, we have no idea. It just says to promote his new book at the literary festival. This is because the LLMs can't think, y'all. So when you work with LLMs, it's best to work in layers to go, okay, we have this. Now run it again with more specifics, more specifics. The artificial intelligence or the large language models, you'll know I don't call it the AI too often. I like to say the LLM. The large language model can look at this and go, external goals to promote his new book at the library, the literary festival. Basically, this serves as a prompt when you run it the next time to say a rewrite, and it goes, oh, I have to rewrite that with more specifics. Now it has context, so it knows that to promote his new book, and now it's going to actually come up with the name of the book, in this case, The Silent Echo. So, The Silent Echo at the literary festival. He has an arrogance and a disregard for other people's property, including borrowed books, visiting Edgewater. I don't know how he's going to not return the book, but that's okay. Maybe he's there a second year in a row and he didn't ever return the book, and she's on a warpath. Oliver Bennett, the bookstore owner. Good old Ollie. To run his bookstore, charming bookstore, complicating her double life. And we have this emotional wound. All right, I'm pretty happy with these characters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my completion, and I'm going to record this as character list. And we're going to record the completion and save it to Notion. Come over to Notion. It'll be on my auto write page, and I take this character list. I'm going to throw it into Notion 10. Now I'm going to write a prompt. Any questions so far? Let me check. Oh, cool. I'm glad you're seeing it, Elizabeth. Okay, so I added those pages to my Notion page, but they're not there. So you always do have to refresh your Notion page. It's not automatic. So I have my story brief. I have my character list. So coming to my prompter, I need to write some outlines. So I'm going to go to my library. We have plotting in the 400s. Right now we don't have a whole bunch, but we're going to be adding more prompts to this. So act structure from ideas. Sure, I'll load that prompt. I'm going to end up changing it anyway. So once it's here, it's like read these ideas, create an outline. Your best-selling developmental fiction editor. Now you'll notice that the persona has changed. We started off with a writing assistant. Then we started off with like a writing assistant to a New York Times bestselling author. And this time it's your best-selling developmental fiction editor. Now, why would I want a developmental fiction editor to be my outliner? Because developmental editing is where you make sure that there's no plot holes and stuff like that. And I can actually define this even better here. You are a master at crafting plots that are interconnected with surprise twists, red herrings, and high tension. So we'll have that information there. And then I will say none of that. We'll just delete it. Read N1. And I don't know that my N2 had characters in it. I don't think it did. So if I go to my Notion slot, you'll see that it says characters, but it doesn't have like characters up at the top. Now I could change it on the fly and do all that stuff, but I'm just going to put it in a wrapper. It's fine. And characters. And then I'm going to close characters. And then I'm going to say that that is my N2 slot. And write very detailed outlines for at least 7 scenes per episode. Now, output context. Each model has a different amount of words that it'll output. Claude will write you up to 3,000 words at one go. GPT-4, it can write up to 3,000 words, but sometimes it's difficult to get it to do that. We are going to use GPT-4 for this. I'm not going to use 3.5 because it only likes to write back 800 words. It has a max of about 1,500 words. The max it can do is 2,000 tokens. Now, I could hack this for Wordbanger and tell it like you're going to read where you are and continue and continue and continue. That is one of the ways that we will be doing this in the future with other models that don't write as well. But for this particular exercise, I'm just going to work with GPT-4 for it. So this is a pretty simple prompt. Let me go ahead and construct the prompt because now we're trying to get outlines. And I'll construct the prompt. And now that is on. So it has the characters and write very detailed outlines for at least 7 scenes per episode, as defined in the, I think it's the revised story brief. Yeah, story brief revision. Story brief revision. So I'm calling back to that element so it knows. I'm going to construct the prompt again. so that we have that again for you guys. So I'll delete the bad one real fast. So I'll go to Notion. We'll see on prompt construction, there's 2 outlines. I know the second one is the right one, so I'll just delete this one because it doesn't have the full prompt. Okay, we're good to go. And now I will go ahead and generate this, and let's see how it goes. So really and truly, very quickly, you'll see that I was able to customize on the fly story world, an entire story brief. Then change the story brief to make it serialized fiction. Make some changes there. Make some changes to the characters. Make a character list. Then take the character list and the story brief, and now we're going to get some outlines for these different episodes. And then we start validating this. How are we doing on time? Okay, we've got 9 minutes. All right, y'all. I'm ready for this. I think we're ready for this. This is going to be exciting. Any questions so far on what I'm doing? Should we make our personas more detailed? Yeah, sometimes I do. It just depends. What you're feeling in that moment. I mean, I like to be creative with the AI, do different things. Sometimes I'm not creative and I'm just seeing what it's going to go with and everything like that. So this is how it goes. All right. Yeah, not many people on Facebook, but that's okay. All right. So this is done here, episode 3, episode 4. And so this is what you do have to be mindful of. Like I said, if ChatGPT 4 can only write back at least at the max of 3,000 words, am I going to ask it to write me 20 episodes of material? No, because 20 times 7 is 140. 140 times 100 words. Okay, that's only 1,400 words. So that's 14,000. No, 1,400. Okay, 2 extra zeros. 14. Hold on. I'll just get a calculator. All right, 20 episodes times 7 scenes, and if each scene is 100 words, yeah, that's 14,000 words. I was right I was right somewhere in there. That's way too many words for the artificial intelligence, the large language model to write out at one point. You'd have to loop that. You'd have to say read up and continue from there, read up, continue from there. That's what we hope WordBanger is going to do for us soon. But we're still working on finessing that tool even more. All right, so I have this, and let's see, it got to episode 5, the final chapter, fear of being discovered. The closing shot mentions that Oliver, also unable to trust authorities due to past events, suggests he may not be as innocent as he seems, leaving intriguing hints for season 2. Oh, now this is cool. Hayes discovers Virginia's place deserted and Barnes' bookstore's closed. Wait, Barnes' bookstore? Leading them to believe that they both have disappeared. Okay, so I've got to make some tweaks to this. So let's go to the completion. All right. Introduced in the library, interacting with patrons, showing off her impressive memory for overdue books. Scene 2. Max Whitman is introduced at a local art show, praised for his things. In Virginia's view, he becomes suspicious due to his large number of overdue books. She visits the study, only to discover clues about an old art forgery scandal. She confronts about the scandal. He denies, causing her to snap momentarily, revealing her darker side. Whitman, frightened for their interaction, decides to return the overdue books, fearing that Virginia knows too much about him. Scene 6. Virginia is shown at home, leaving ambiguity about her involvement in his death. Detective Hayes arrives in Edgewater, tasked with investigating this new mysterious death. He begins researching recent events, marking the library's possible involvement. So that could be a cliffhanger. Okay, so we have this information here, Bennett's books, and I don't know why it just hallucinated and did that, because it should be Bennett's books. Or is his name Oliver Barnes? No, it's Oliver Bennett. Okay, so it just hallucinated, and that happens. And Bennett's bookstore closed, leading him to believe they've both disappeared. Okay, closing shot. So we have all this information. So I'm going to save it to last completion. I'm also going to save this as episode. And scene outline. Save it to Notion. Same deal. I'm going to throw this into Notion 10. The last thing I'm going to do is writing style. And then in the next hour, when you guys come back at 3 o'clock, we're going to start running this and we're going to see how much of this serial we can actually write. Everybody good with how quickly we have done all this? So we did the episode and scene outline. The last little thing is I need to do is about a writing style. So I'll come back to my prompter because I think all this is saved. I did that right. Yeah. So come back to my prompter. This is actually a prompt I don't think we have yet. If I think correctly, it would hypothetically go in under probably the writing prompt. So we're going to need to do like different writing styles. So I'm actually not going to load any of these prompts, but eventually it'll go under here. We'll just go ideas and inspiration just so I have a basic prompt to play with. And I'm just going to change the prompt on the fly again. So you're a brilliant editor for a New York City publisher. Let's go with this. You are a brilliant book writing coach, specializes in helping authors define a writing style based on genre for an AI to write a book. Okay, so there we go. So what I'm going to do is based on this genre and these ideas, we'll just bracket that so it'll know what the ideas are. We need to tell it what the genre is too, just so it has context. Genre. And these ideas, write a thorough writing style guide for an AI to follow an outline and write the book. Now, I'm not going to tell it what has to be in that writing style except for in the ideas. So in this one, we're going to go with cozy mystery comedy. A little bit. We don't need a number because there's no number field in here. It's only genre and ideas. And the ideas is I think this is going to work better in first. It's a serial. So I think, do we want to do it in first person or third person? I hate first person, but I know that can sometimes do better for serials. Let's see here. Let's go with the point of view is third person omniscient or third person limited. And then I want this to be comedic to the reader due to situational comedy, but the tone of the book comes across as a real mystery. Okay. I want the reader to have fun, to capture the small town feel, and feel lighthearted after reading. Okay, so we have that. We'll click save. And we will construct this prompt just so that we have it. So this is like building the right. Oh, I have to put it in here. Writing style. Construct that. So that's the prompt. And we will. I don't want to use Turbo for this. I'm going to use GPT-4. And now this is where I'm going to change this. I'm going to go with 1.8 for the temperature. And then I'm going to go with a top P of 0.6 and see what we get. See what we get. If we don't like the results, we can always run it again. So we'll go ahead and run that again. Cozy mystery comedy. Oh, situational comedy. Oh, no, I do want one-liners, so I'm going to change that. I didn't know I wanted that until I saw it, and it said not from slapstick or one-liners. Actually, no, I do want one-liners. No thoughts and feelings of one character. All characters are described using pronouns they, he, she. This allows for deeper connection to the main character while maintaining an air of mystery. Despite the comedic elements, the tone of the book should come across as a real mystery. This means balancing the humor with suspense and intrigue. The humor should never undermine the stakes of the mystery. I like that. The story takes place in a small town. The AI should strive to capture the quaint, close-knit feeling, detailing local landmarks, customs, and residents. The overall mood should be lighthearted and fun. Even when dealing with murder and mystery, the narrative should never become too dark or heavy. This can be, I think I might go with like, this can be dark humor. So I'll change that mood aspect of it too. And again, it's not that this got it wrong. It's just that I don't know what I want until I see it. And dialogue. I'm actually going to say that the dialogue, okay, so it does have the character having distinct voices. So that's good. And then it just wrote this whole outline, which we don't need the outline part of it. So I'll fix that part. So coming back to my completion, let's go ahead and make some changes here. I'm actually not going to say slapstick because here's the thing. Those of us who've been working with this a lot, how many of you run into this? You tell it not blah, 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 and then it puts blah, blah, blah into the writing. That's because it reads tokens. So it doesn't always pick up that the not next token, the not goes with that token. So if I don't want slapstick, the best thing for me to do is to not even mention it. Because if I say I don't want slapstick, it's like it turns it into a pink elephant. It's like she doesn't want slapstick. She doesn't want slapstick. Oh, I want to do slapstick. Slapstick. No. If I don't even mention it, it doesn't even come in there. If I say the humor in this book comes from situational comedy and one-liners, that's what it will focus on. That's just like a writing with AI tip. Point of view, I like that one. The tone, balancing it. So we got that. The setting takes place in a small town. Residents, the overall mood should be lighthearted and fun. I'm going to say when dealing with the murder and mystery, the narrative can become slightly darker, humor and twisted narrative. I'll just say that. This can be achieved through the use of humor, charming characters, and a lively setting. No, we're not going to say what that can be achieved of. We're just going to give it that opportunity there. They should be deeply integrated in distinct traits and idiosyncrasies. The plot should be well structured and engaging, clear middle and end, series of clues. I actually don't, we'll leave the plot for right now, but it's fine. Dialogue should be natural and engaging. This is a modern story taking place in 2019 because all of the models were trained after that, so it's fine. Humor, situational comedy, and one-liners. So this line right here, the AI should avoid. We don't even need that. This means that funny situations arise naturally from the character's actions and circumstances they find themselves in. Pacing, steady with a good balance between action, dialogue, and description. The mystery should unfold gradually. Each episode should end on a cliffhanger. That's really important there. And I'm going to take out this outline bit because we already have an outline, so we don't want to confuse it. And now I will put this as my writing style. And save it. Come over here, put writing style into Notion 10. And now if I was to refresh my Notion slots, verify and refresh page, now I have my brief, my character list, my episode and scene outline, and my writing style. We've created all four of those elements in roughly less than an hour with all the technical difficulties we had, and it's pretty decent material. Okay, so how are we feeling? I will be back at the 3:00 hour, so at the top of the next hour, and we will not have hopefully problems with muting or dogs barking. The next step is I'm going to be using our handy dandy prompt that we have that is writing, the writing one. So writing here, and guess what, y'all? I'm going to just let it jam. I'm going to see how much we can make it right. I'm going to see if Claude will write it. Hopefully Claude will. We'll be able to monitor it as he goes. If we run into problems, we'll deal with it then. But I think we're going to be able to get this book written, this little episodes and stuff written. So we'll see how fast it goes. Okay. So I'll see you then. Take care and see you soon. Bye. Make sure there's no other chats here. Okay.